Alright, hitting the go live button now. Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. We are talking about romance in Friendship is Magic on today's Brony Debates Live. This should be an interesting topic. It's yet another one that was suggested by Shady Oak Ministries, but he could not join us today because I wanted to start at the normal time, and when Shady joins us, we got to start an hour early. Now then, joining me today is Pentatonic of Mike's Geek World. He's been a long-time supporter of the channel. How are you doing today?
Hello, everybody. I am good. Really excited to get a chance to come on here and talk about this.
Nice. Now, I gave you a little bit of tutelage in Adobe Premiere, but you also make music of your own, right? Like, tell us about what you do before we get started here.
A lot of what you people find on my YouTube channel are geeky parodies. A lot of pony parodies, comic books, anime. Anything geek related, and make a parody out of it. I also have my share of originals, a few of which are on my channel, but I don't have a lot of the originals on there right now just because I haven't had the ability to get them properly recorded yet.
Well, yeah, but you just started up a Kickstarter for that, haven't you?
Just a couple days ago, I started a Kickstarter because I'm getting ready to put together what would technically be my third album, but my first album of original works. My previous ones were covers. And I am hoping to raise up enough to go down to Nashville, where I recorded my first two albums, and record this third one.
All right, that's pretty cool. So
money for that. I've got a lot of really good songs in the works for this project, and I really think it's going to come out really well.
Alrighty then. So if you guys want to check out his channel, I would highly encourage that. He can be found in the supporters section of the description here. His channel name is Mike's Geek World. And also joining me yet again in the moderation to make sure you all behave yourselves in the chat, as well as to relay any comments, questions, or concerns you have for us, is the lovely Princess Heather Blossom. How are you doing tonight, Heather?
I'm doing and getting done. Howdy, y'all!
Alrighty then. Didn't expect you to go full Southern on me.
Why not? I could go with Southern barbecue. Good stuff.
Yep, that is good stuff. Now, don't make me hungry while I'm on the stream. So let's get talking about something that's...
So I'm good.
Yep, well, so let's get talking about something that's going to make us thirsty instead. Romance. So let's start with how we believe the show Friendship is Magic handles romance in general. So, Pentatonic, give us some brief, generic thoughts on how we handle romance in the show in the first place.
I think it is a very hit and miss. I mean, obviously, romance isn't used a huge amount of time in the show, but when it is, sometimes I think it's done well, and sometimes I think it's done very poorly. I think a lot of times it depends on the writer. It depends on the characters they're using and how they're portrayed. I think sometimes it can be done very well. I'll get into when we talk about specifics. But, yeah, I think it's hit and miss.
I would say that the show does not do romance very well. But that's because it's really not supposed to. I mean, Jim Miller himself has said, he's put emphasis, when people have asked him similar questions, he's put emphasis on the friendship is magic aspect of the show's subtitle. So we obviously deal 90% in interpersonal problems, and I'd say 5% in world-ending situations, most of which then tie back into interpersonal friendship problems. And we've only had, in 9 seasons, we've probably had less than 10, romantic episodes or examples of romance in there. So there's been a few times where it's Yeah, where it's been absolutely just no. Why would you do that? But there occasionally, when they treat it like normal human romance, they get a little bit better. Like the key way for someone like for a show like Friendship is Magic to do good at romance is to not try, if that makes any sense. So Heather, do you want to weigh in on this at all?
Nah, my opinion is more or less the same. It's not a show where romance is the key focus here. I can't think of any romantic subplots that go beyond an episode or two. The long-standing one would be Spike's crush on Rarity, and I think that's been slowly fading away as time progresses.
That's a good point. So, but we both seem to think that there are good and bad examples of romantic relationships within the show. So, Pentatonic, what do you believe is a bad example in the show, and why? Like, how did they screw it up?
Well, example would, and I'm sure this is one that a lot of people think of, but Spike and Rarity. And he's a kid and she's an adult, and I do think that is a part of it. I think what it is really is a crush for however long in Showtime the series has been going, which I think is just like a couple of years, whereas it's been 9 seasons. It is just a childhood crush. What I think is one of the things that really makes it bad is the fact that Rarity takes advantage of this. Now, you could bring up the question of, does she know that how he feels about her?
Oh, there's no bloody way she doesn't.
Yeah, and that makes it all the worse that she is so willing to take advantage of that by, having him do all these different things for her, which she knows nobody else would be willing to do, but he'll do because he has a crush on her. And I feel like that makes her look kind of bad for taking advantage of him.
Okay, so is that a question of bad writing, or is that a question of just, I guess, well, I don't want to say bad characterization, because bad characterization would imply that it's something that's unrealistic. I'm talking about things that are written poorly, where they don't become believable. And while I wouldn't support Sparity as it is, full disclaimer, I've read some really good FiMfictions where Spike is aged up, or for whatever reason they're on a level playing field with each other, and those have been really good. But in the show as it is, I don't see anything badly written about Sparity. They treat it is definitely a childhood crush. They treat it like a crush, and it's never, I wouldn't say it's ever normalized. It's never really condoned. That the way that Rarity takes advantage of that is normal or beyond the scope of what Twilight does in utilizing Spike's assistance whenever she can. So I disagree with you on that aspect. What do you think about that?
That is fair enough. I mean, I agree. I guess it's not really an example of poor writing. Yeah, I do think that it makes her look bad, but it doesn't really do so in a writing aspect.
Well, don't let me win that easy. What do you got for me from the show that's poorly written?
Oh, then I would actually lean into the Equestria Girls world, and I know he's everyone's favorite punching bag when it comes to this. I like the character, but I don't like I really am not a fan of how they did the romance, and that's Twilight and Flash. And one of the main reasons is because it felt very forced. It felt like, we have to have a romantic interest for her, so let's create this character who is just cool guy But really, and as the series progressed and they leaned away from the romance, they developed him into a little bit more of an actual character, a little bit. But the relationship just felt very forced, and it really didn't. It wasn't a well-built relationship, in my opinion, and I think that definitely goes into how it was written.
So when I watched Equestria Girls, part of me didn't have a problem with that because I remember what it's like being a teenager, and I know that infatuations like that can and often do happen. I don't know if you ever went through that. I never went through that on the same level that Twilight did, but I've certainly seen it happen. So what's the difference between badly written and just something that's not right that the characters are doing, like we were just saying? How exactly is it forced?
You're killing me with your logic.
You stepped into the ring unprepared.
I don't know if it's forced. It's kind of boring.
I'll give it that. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to it. Part of me doesn't think it makes sense to the degree from a biological standpoint. Now, this is most likely me reading too much into it, but you figure that Twilight would be attracted or would develop a romantic attraction to another pony. Like, there would have to be some sort of physiological connection there. If anybody is familiar with with DWK's series, what was it? The series that he made, totally legit recaps. Yeah, where he's like, hear me out. Twilight got put in the body of a human teenager and is now extremely hormonally unstable, and he went into a whole 12-minute rant about that, and I'm sitting there like, man, I'm hating that you're making sense right now. So there's how I would explain it away if I was going to get really contentious about it, but that the physiological aspect and psychological aspect of that is what didn't make sense to me. So from there, I could suppose that I see where you're coming from, where it seems forced, but there's got to be something in the writing, in the portrayal, in the delivery of what the actors are doing that shows me that this is just slapped together without any actual care for the characterization. So what do you think about that?
I would say I could buy that, past the physiological thing, if she got to know and love him for his mind and personality, but that clearly didn't happen, so there's nothing else other than a superficial attraction. So yeah, just reinforcing what you said.
All right. And Pentatonic, what do you think?
I do agree with you on that, and the DWK point is also true, because I was actually thinking about the technically being a horse in the body of a human. Why would she have attraction for a human? The point you brought up of she's been put into the body of a hormonal teenager, so kind of see that, although still you think her mind would still not a human as opposed to a pony. But then I think we're getting into a deeper discussion of someone with the mind of a horse falling in love with a human.
Yeah,
I don't know. Elephants think we're cute, so let's see how far this goes.
Heather, no.
I mean, probably not, but sure.
Yeah, no, I'm joking. I'm being a jerk. What I would say is a bad example of romance, badly written, almost probably even forced, would be the example of Shining Armor and Cadence. For the fact that they came out of nowhere and haven't really done a whole lot with them since. It seems very Disney fairy tale to me, which maybe I just don't relate to because I've never seen something like that happen. But my gosh, I don't have anything more to add to that on in terms of an opening statement. So, what do you guys think about that?
I think that Shining Armor and Cadence is something that potential to make it a good romance, although in general their characters, have potential to be good if actually something was done with them. By the same token, if something was actually done, with them from a romantic standpoint, if we're not looking at the comics.
Mm-hmm.
If there was something actually done with them, then you could build to something. But I do agree that it was very shoehorn. It's like, hey, here's these two new characters. They love each other. Believe me. Let me do what Spike actually did in the show and just, and push them together in kisses.
Oh,
I mean, in the comics, they actually try to give a backstory to them. And there have been a couple of cases of them something with the two of them just together. But even then, it's not really in a romantic setting. It's just a flurry of emotions. Where they, pawn flurry off on Twilight so they can have some together time. But even then, it's not really for the sake of romance, even though I think that would be an interesting concept of have a date night. And Flurry, who's now walking and, kind of talking, constantly interrupts or something. That would be an interesting way to actually develop the romance between them.
Right, exactly. And I mean it. Well, yeah, and in this case, and usually I'm the guy to let something slide on potential as well. I've made that argument for other things before, but in this case, I really would have liked to see more of that development, more of those stages. They did a good job by introducing Shining Armor and Cadence in the second season when they had 7 more to go, but not as getting married right away. If they had if they set them up where they were engaged, I'd have been okay with that. And just give me one episode about the tribulations of planning a wedding, and then give me one episode in another season about being married, and where you're in an ideal situation. Now you're living with this woman that you hadn't previously lived with before. You're living with this man that you haven't previously lived with before, and now you're learning all this stuff about him that you couldn't have possibly foreseen. Give me something like that. Make it more real. Make it more human. Instead of what I look back on with Friendship is Magic and seeing Cadence and Shining Armor is I see the Disney fairy tale or that old nursery rhyme of first comes love and then comes marriage and here comes Cadence with a baby carriage. It's not necessarily an exaggeration. At least I don't think it is.
As I'm thinking about it, pretty much was, actually, there wasn't even first comes love. There was pretty much first comes marriage.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, we're having a baby.
Yeah. So there's that. Heather, what do you think about all this?
I just I don't know. I've never really formed an opinion on Cadence and Shining Armor's relationship because frankly we don't see a lot of that. I think the only moment I saw them share together was when they kind of tried to impress each other in the best gift ever in that Christmas special when they were just freaking flying around and doing flips to avoid the pudding.
Oh yeah, that was great, and
I was thinking about that too.
That did show some genuine affection, and I'm also, for the sake of my own argument, very purposefully ducking the Nay Anything arc from the IDW comics. It was early on. I think it came out in 2013, and was what 3 issues long that arc
2,
was.
I believe it was issues 7 and 8, if I'm remembering right.
Yeah,
I know it was 2. But
where Shining Armor went out of his way to try to catch Cadence's attention, which is interesting because Cadence looked at him and just knew right off the bat, and it was funny enough that he didn't need to do anything, but here he is doing all this stuff anyway. So that was
including a parody of Little Girls by Oingo Boingo.
Oh yeah, that was never a good thing. that didn't need to happen.
Kids loved it.
And I guess that's all that matters. God knows I've done crazier things for you, Heather.
Have you gotten on a freaking parade float and freaking serenaded me with a song parody? I think not.
I believe in a thing called love. That stupid, poorly sung cover that I did.
What cover? No, that wasn't a parody though, and you didn't even direct that at me.
Not intentionally, I guess, but now I'm stretching my own self here. All right, so Heather, what do you think? Do you have any examples that of things being poorly written in the show that you want to talk about? Any romances, any badly written romances off the top of your head?
Well-written ones this time?
No, badly written. I'll give the floor to you for a second before we go into the well-written stuff. Nothing? Or did we lose connection?
He's still in here.
Well, no, I'm talking to you, Heather.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
I didn't realize you were asking me the question.
No.
Oh, look, you cut out for me every 5 seconds. I kind of just have to make up what you're saying.
All right, I'm sorry about that. So now that you know the question.
Okay, so a bad written one. Gosh, we went over like 2 or 3 already. And that was basically all of them.
All right.
What other romance do we actually have?
Oh, there's Rarity and Trenderhoof and Applejack. If we're going to the comics, we got... I'll save that. I've got something to say about that a little later.
That whole episode was kind of annoying.
Rarity and Blue Blood.
Oh yeah, well he sucked. Rarity was the best.
Well, that was Rarity eating her own hubris.
Oh, I'm sorry that she was just a simple lady who wanted to be courted by a handsome nobleman.
Isn't
that what every woman wants?
We got a word for
that.
that.
Know how he's related to Princess Celestia.
Yeah, we got a word for that, Heather. It's called uneducated. That's what happened to Rarity then. She got beat down with her own naivete. We don't blame her for it, but that's what happened. All right, let's move on to which ones we believe were well written within the show. Pentatonic, let me hear it.
All right, I would have to say, even though it wasn't one that I in my own case, I kind of like the Sugar Belle relationship. How it started with him trying to impress her. Eventually, the two of them getting together. And in the background, mostly little things of them having dates, just showing that, they're building their relationship. And then we had the episode where we have the breakup.
The breakdown, God.
Yeah, breakdown.
It's been a long time since an episode made me laugh that hard.
And I would like to see, and I don't know, I haven't seen any of the leaked episodes, but I would kind of like to see, if not an actual wedding, maybe like even just an engagement before the series ends between the two of them, just to show that start from him having a crush on her all the way to them getting engaged or even getting married. I don't see them doing a wedding. I feel like they would want that to be a bigger thing, and I'm pretty sure they've got the finale set for, our villains.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like, I don't know, because albeit we don't know how long the passage of time happens in this show. It's hard to say how long the relationship's actually been. I don't know, an engagement would still seem kind of premature to me.
I don't really want to see a wedding, but I would see a wedding so they can give Marble a chance to actually speak up and object. I think that would be hilarious.
I think it'd be funny if pretty much every mare that has been shipped with Big Mac.
Yeah.
And object
Princess Luna shows up. Yeah. Fleetfoot shows up. Princess Luna shows up. Cheerilee shows up. Fluttershy shows up. Rainbow Dash shows up just for the heck of it.
She's like, I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to get involved.
Yeah. Oh, is there a competition? Can I join? And oh gosh, who else shows up? No, that'd be funny. And then Marble Pie speaks up, actually uses her voice for the first time, and we find out that the reason she doesn't talk is because she's voiced by me.
You see, now I just want to see it just for that.
Ronnie, now read off the lines. Big Mac, the truth is I love you. Please love me in my man voice. Say it!
Big Macintosh, the truth is that I love you. Please love me back despite the fact that I sound like a voracious stallion.
Lame. Not as I written it. No, this is getting
I improved it. I improved it, gosh darn it.
No, you didn't! I am a perfect writer and you ruined my vision!
Okay, I'll just go back to being a couch then.
Cutie mark.
Yeah, I'm an artist. You just don't understand.
All right, Heather. I actually don't have any arguments for Pentatonic, so I'm being bad at my job now. Yeah, that I've enjoyed that. That is exactly what I wanted to see with Shining Armor and Cadence. The conflict of the courtship. The conflict of, misunderstanding and lack of, what can happen with a lack of communication and overreacting to things emotionally like that. Especially when Discord gets involved. So I have no objections there. I think the best relationships in the show, I'm going to cheat here and do two of them, would be the Cakes. Because
I was actually going to bring that up as a secondary one.
Yeah, I'm going to leech off a Silver Quill here because he made a really good video about it, and but all he did was echo what I was thinking, and I think he echoed what a lot of people were thinking, is that is a very real marriage in the show, in the comics. They're dealing with their kids who are crazy and they can't control them. Or don't understand them. They got to run a business together, and they're constantly getting pulled in different directions, and they don't always have the resources to handle it. I like that kind of thing, and if we had a couple more episodes focused on that, it would have made me very happy. Now my second one would be the donkeys, Cranky Doodle and Matilda, because. That is just like that slice of life episode was so beautiful to me. Like, you guys don't understand. I work at weddings as a photographer, and every single time I get choked up. I just I love the idea of fighting for each other like that, and recognizing that you love each other and doing your best to make it work, and then having it actually work out in the end. So, those are mine. What do you guys think about that?
Well, with the Cakes, I actually, if you hadn't brought it up, I would have brought it up. Another thing, aside from the things you mentioned, was they have little pet names for each other, but you can tell they've been married a while because they clearly love each other, but they're not constantly, all lovey-dovey all the time.
They didn't just sip the love potion, yeah.
That they are in love. But you can tell they've been married for a while, so they have that steady relationship that has built up, where they're at in their relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Cranky and Matilda, you could say Cranky and Matilda was kind of Cadence and Shining Armor done better. Because, like Cadence and Shining Armor, these are two characters that were introduced out of the blue for this episode, the relationship, but you actually are seeing came from in the flashback where, meeting at the Grand Galloping Gala, losing her, searching for years to try to find her before they finally come together again, and then later on we get our wedding. In a way, you could say it was Cadence and Shining Armor done better.
No, that's exactly right. As well as I would say the same thing for the apples, Pear Butter and Bright Mac. Now, granted, that was only one episode, and the whole episode was a flashback, but I'm giving that a pass because of the amount of time that they showed passing. That's from yearling to, adulthood. And
if they did sound kind of weird as fools.
Yeah, and right up until, well, we didn't expect, they looked like the Cake Twins, and we were expecting them to babble like the Cake Twins, and then they go, "I'm not allowed to talk to you," So they got that going on. But yeah,
so sweet.
Yeah, they gave it. If you're a good storyteller, you can make do with such little time. I mean, the same thing. I mean, that episode was an entire episode, right? They had 20 whole minutes to establish that, and they took 15 if you count the interludes between, the Apple family going from person to person and getting each story as their parents aged up. But the movie Up did the same exact thing, told the same exact story in 6 minutes, right? So if you and hit all the same notes and had the same amount of progression and showed the same amount of conflict and real life overcoming challenges together as a couple, which, really resonates with me. So if you know what you're doing as a writer, you can get away with only having a little bit of time on your hands. You see where I'm getting with that?
Yeah, basically, with the right, you're saying with the right writer, no matter how little time you have, you can tell a good romance.
Yeah. Well, a good story in general, but today we're talking about romance. Yeah, and I mean, shoot, Up did it in 6 minutes and didn't even use dialogue, so it's pretty crazy. But yeah, things like that are what I like to see, and I wish we had more of them in the show. Heather, do you want to add anything to this? Do you have an example you want to give?
Well, it's like, I was just looking in the chat right now, and now that I think about it, we do have a lot of couples in the show because we know all of the main six's parents.
Yep, yes we do.
We have a whole bunch of them. And, some of them have only been, in an episode once. But,
Did you notice, though, that all the main six's parents have the same personalities? Like, Fluttershy, both of Fluttershy's parents are very shy. Both of Rainbow Dash's parents are jockey and super supportive. Both of Twilight's parents are crazy. Things like that.
The Twilight one actually got me thinking right of the Once Upon a Zeppelin, and after the barrel and the waterfall, just that little moment where she comes out and father, Twilight, what is his name?
Nightlight.
Thank you. It just gives her that little peck on the cheek, and I thought that just little moment was just kind of a cute showing of their relationship.
Yep.
And I apologize because I popped in there and completely stepped over Heather.
Well, no, I suppose that's fine. But yeah, and shoot, Rarity's parents are both Midwestern country bumpkins, which, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just kind of pointing out how I noticed that all the parents have very similar personalities, whereas all of the romances we have now have very contrasting personalities. The Cranky and Matilda have clashing personalities. Maybe not so much Shining Armor and Cadence, but yeah, Big Mac and Sugar Belle, very contrasting personalities. So that's something I noticed. I don't really have any intention of making anything of it. Did you have something else you wanted to say, Heather, or did we cut you off?
I didn't really have much thoughts. You guys covered all the good ones. I didn't like Quibble Pants and Clear Sky, mainly because, like, I was like, I was a Quibble Pants and Rainbow Dash kind of person, but I don't know. With them two, it seemed okay, and it presented a really different kind of way, like, a couple gets together. Like, we see Mare, who either, like, it's not explained whether, like, the father died or they just separated. Like, I would hope it was something a little less serious. But a single mother going into a relationship with someone who does not have kids and someone willing to work with that, that's something I don't see a lot.
Yeah. And it, I mean, unfortunately, it does happen more and more in our culture lately. So it's, it's that type of thing, I suppose, is not bad to touch on. But you actually just gave me an idea, Heather. We're going to go off script for a few minutes. What do you guys think about that?
You had a script?
Okay. To a certain degree. What ships would you have liked to see in the show with the time that we had? Pentatonic.
Well, let's see. I have actually, in my head, kind of shipped most of the main six. I mean, none of them in a serious, so this is the real relationship. I can't believe that anyone would go anything else.
You ship the main six with each other.
Actually, ironically, no. I had different ships for each of them.
Okay, good. We can still be friends.
And I admit it was somewhat of a shallow one, but I was a Fluttermac shipper as far as Big Mac and his harem of ships that everyone has for him.
You see, I didn't like Fluttermac because they were too similar. They're both too shy. They'd never be able to make anything out of it. There would be no communication, much less expressing, romantic desires.
I think that's part of the reason I had actually kind of liked them together, was because I saw them as a kind of a match set, but I fully admit that was a very shallow one. Another one I had actually kind of liked was Rainbow Dash and Soren, and there was like almost no that.
Okay, so I'm gonna sit here and hold Heather back for you, but yeah, she does not like Soren Dash, isn't that right?
Look, not with a passion. I just think it's very boring.
But why do you like that idea, Pentatonic?
I like the idea of the two people who met through these similar interests, that being the Wonderbolt work, being a stunt performer initially as a fan and a performer, and then to know each other, getting to work with each other, and building a relationship from there. Again, most of this is a relationship that I have built in my head, not they've really, other than her saving him on a few occasions, very little one-on-one interaction.
Heather,
Rarity and Fancy Pants, although the recent Between Dusk and Dawn didn't exactly push that one very well.
Nope.
I always liked the idea because I thought he fits the style she wants of the very, kind of fancy type. At the same time, he's not like the other Canterlot folk. He's very kind-hearted. He's a good guy. Their interactions weren't the best in From Dusk Till Dawn, but I really liked that. I thought they fit together well. Those interests in the finer things.
Yep.
And I'm starting to ramble here. So.
Yep, definitely. Heather, do you have any examples you'd like to share with us?
Like a couple I would like to see?
Yeah, what would you have liked to have seen in the show in terms of ships?
Yeah, I have talked about all the ships I've liked from Dusk Until Dawn, but I guess a ship that could be realistic, it could be seen with the time we have remaining, that could happen. Basically, none of them. I don't know, I'd like to see any of the main six get into a romantic relationship, because I feel like that doesn't happen. Like, they don't want to tie any of the main six down. Like, probably the only one that would be plausible in any sense, because of just how much they have in common and the relatability, would be like Peaky Pie and Cheese Sandwich. And I don't know, I don't see anything frankly romantic about that. Like, at least they haven't shown interest in each other in that way.
Mm-hmm. I think cheese sandwich and Pinkie Pie would be hard to pull off because I think in short order they would wear each other out.
Another one would be like Fluttershy and Discord, because even Angel seems to ship that, and so does Spike. So like, if people are like, yeah, they're
I think
I'm not confirm that.
Yeah, I think we're getting to a point where the only one who isn't on board with Fluttercord is Fluttershy herself.
And anyone who's a Discord Celestia shipper.
Yeah, but
that's other big one.
But that's almost as bad as shipping Discord and Applejack, so we don't talk about that. I'm not sure who I would have wanted to see shipped. Now that I think about it, I think Flashlight, Flash Sentry, and Twilight could have done well with a little bit more development. I would have liked to see that. I was willing to give it a shot. Yep.
Certainly better than Twilight and Timber.
Yeah, I was not on board with that. I don't trust that guy. I don't trust that guy one bit. All right. So with that, we're only a couple of minutes short of the target time here, so let's start getting into the audience interaction part. So I've glanced over at the chat while we've been talking and seen some questions and interesting comments, but I haven't memorized them. So Heather, lay it on us. What do we got?
I got quite a few questions for us.
All
Paladin
right.
Pony had a lot of questions that he couldn't wait till the end, till the audience interaction. So let's start with some of those.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a romance in the show you like more than the others? We might have kind of answered that, but like to say definitively, what's romance in the show that you like best?
Okay, so I don't know if it counts, but the Reflections arc between Princess Celestia and King Sombra, that was amazing to me. I loved that. That is my all-time favorite.
It took me a second to remember that when it's from the comics.
Yeah. And those of you in the chat, in the audience, if you have not read the Reflections arc, fix it.
I do remember that one, and I do like how it had a very tragic romance feel to it. Really see why Celestia was doing what she was doing. I'm trying to avoid too many spoilers for people who do want to read it and haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
I do remember seeing what Celestia was doing despite the risks it was causing and understanding what she was doing. I thought that one was built very well.
Yep. So to answer Paladin's question, what do you think? What is your all-time favorite canon ship? Pentatonic.
My favorite canon ship? I can't think of a canon ship that I really care about. I guess Hair Butter and Bright Mac, only because they got a nice song and stuff. I mean, that's the way to convince me of something. Give it a good song.
Yep. I'm with you on that.
I'm actually on board with her. I would also say Bright Mac and Pear Butter.
All right. Good job. Next question.
As much as I do like where they're potentially going with Big Mac and Sugar Belle, they've already got with Bright Mac and Pear Butter.
All right. Next question.
Again by Paladin Pony. Brony, is there a romance fanfic you like?
Oh, I feel like Yakko Warner dancing in front of a world map right now. United States, Canada, Mexico, Panama, Haiti, Jamaica, Peru. All right, here's what's up. Let me think. Actually, I did see that one ahead of time, and I pulled up a list. Here's the list. Drama King by Lumino Zero. I'll give you all a second to write these down. Tick Tock by Pseudonym. You know what I'll do? I'll leave these links in the description when the show is done. The Fairy Tale Fiasco by La Wombat. So good. of Lies and Liars. If you're into crack shipping, this guy managed to pull off Spike and Lyra. If you can imagine that, by King of Beggars, Lies and Liars. And if you're in for a really long serial read, look up The Journey of Graves by Gentleman J. I love that story so much. And I know there's others that have been really good that I've read over the years, but those are the ones that I have on hand.
Admittedly, I haven't read a huge amount of MLP fanfic in general, much less shipfic, so I don't really have a lot of knowledge outside of the ones that I've heard people mention they like.
All right.
That they like, not necessarily shipfics.
Okay. Heather, do you want to add to that list at all?
Gosh, I'd have to look at my long, extensive list, but I do like where Let the Silence Sing, which was between Celestia and Big Mac. Love Needs No Reason, which was a Discord and Applejack fic. Oh, gosh, what else did I really, really like? There was... Frick. There was one that shipped Loki and Princess Luna, which was interesting, that I read a long-ass time ago. It's called Remember Everything.
Oh, geez,
gosh,
that's crazy.
I can't give you the full list, but that just gets to
well,
let you know what I mean.
Yeah, well, you should be famous for your crack shipping, is my opinion there. We'll get that list going, and we'll put it in the description for everybody after the show. Next question.
Next question was also by Paladin Pony. Brony, how do you feel about the romance between AJ's parents?
We already talked about that. That was really well done. Next question.
Filmer Brony22 asked, what's your opinion on Hard to Say Anything?
Hard to Say Anything. Oh, I had I just recently did, well, by recently I mean late last year, did that episode. No, that was really good. I think it was really obnoxious the way that Big Macintosh was acting, but it wasn't cringy and it wasn't bad, and I was I mean, aside from the song, I was able to get through it, and it taught a good lesson. So those are my thoughts. Do you guys want to phone in on that?
Song on my YouTube channel.
Oh, good job.
Although, to be honest, it ended up getting blocked by Hasbro. So.
Oh, heck.
But
thanks, Hasbro.
I do agree that a lot of it was very obnoxious. I know Big Mac is inexperienced, but the fact that he was so willing to take advice from the equivalent, I guess, of probably preteens in the ways of romance, and I admit I did get a kick out of the building between himself and
Featherbangs.
Featherbangs, thanks.
Yeah.
I kind of liked the bit of back and forth between them, with Big Mac getting more and more into it partially because he wanted to win Sugar Bell's favor, but I think he also was just getting to the point where he wanted to beat Featherbangs.
Yeah, that's
not the same way you did in your review.
my favorite part of that episode is where I snuck up behind their human pyramid and knocked them all over, but now I'm just being a jerk. Oh, geez. What's the next question?
That's one of my favorite ones of your butt to the face videos.
Oh my gosh, thank you. What's the next question?
The next question will be from Badrig Bali. Your opinion on Sandbar and Yona ship, which I forgot about that one. That's kind of a recent one. Sandbar and Yona.
I mean, gosh darn, they heavily implied that, didn't they? Like, not even in a way that I would be able to plausibly deny it. They certainly looked like they were going for that with the way he just asked her out to the dance out of nowhere.
Which was as hell.
Yes, it was. I have no real problems with it. It did come out of nowhere, but those things happen. And it didn't. It didn't go anywhere too bad, and they didn't bungle the overall message or let it be too distracting to the rest of the story. So I don't like it. I suppose I just need to see more, but it's okay. What do you guys think, real quick?
I think it was done like atypical, a kid shows a little bit of interest. They have some moments, but nothing more than that. It was very much a childhood.
Yeah.
Call it a, quote unquote romance. It was very much, the way it would be with kids. And I do like that they didn't try to push it as more
yeah, I get what you're going with that. And it sure as heck wasn't Sparity, where one of them has this non-mutual attraction that could very well be akin to something of an Oedipus complex. Next question.
Greg Coyle wondered who would be a good ship with Garble now that he's a bit nicer.
Garble needs to do a lot of work on himself before he can even start thinking about a romantic relationship. What do you guys think?
Probably the same. Also, I don't see anybody who meshes with him would make it interesting.
Also, Heather, real quick, I'm a terrible person. I didn't ask how you thought about Yona and Sandbar.
Oh, I forgot. Well, like I said, I thought it was very cute, very interesting. I kind of like it when they surprise me with it.
So we're all in agreement.
The typical kind of 80s trope of that she tried to turn herself around to go to the dance with him, and at the end, that really wasn't necessary, and everyone liked her for who she was and how she behaved.
Hey, it worked in Greece. All right, next question.
Didn't I ask that? Oh, yeah, the Garble one, but whatever. The next one was by Crovax13. He asked, do you think that the Kieran are in danger of not being able to have romantic relationships? I guess that's in regards to how we didn't see any, little children Kieran walking around in that episode.
I don't think we know enough about the Kierans to make a call on that.
We need to see more of them to see, because we don't even, my poor memory, but I don't remember even seeing any kind of physical attribute that separated males from females. So we don't really know how the Kieran physiology works.
All right. Next question.
Next question by Paladin Pony again. How lucky do you feel about the romance in your lives?
Oh my gosh, to say I am undeserving of what I have now is an understatement. What do you think, Pentatonic?
I actually am currently single, so I have no romance in my life right now. And even, to be honest, you were talking about Spike's unrequited love. That's pretty much what the case is for my OC as well. He pretty much has an unrequited love, which I will always keep unrequited because I think it's funnier.
All right.
I have no romantic situation in my life right now.
Okay. And Heather, what do you think?
God, I had to work forever to get this guy. He better freaking feel lucky.
I do. Next question.
Quiet Storm asked, do you think there will be a war between the evil Hall of Evil, Cozy, Tarek, and Chrissy, and the good guys?
I think we'll find that out. We've got, 5 more episodes? The finale is airing on October 12th. I do think so.
Apparently, it's going to be 3 episodes from what I saw.
I'd be very surprised if they didn't do some kind of all-out, endgame scale war or something like that. Next question.
Edgardo J. Cruz asked, what would you consider a toxic relationship in the show or comic?
Ooh, toxic relationships. Well, we did talk a little bit about how Sparity certainly holds that potential, but I don't really think it's quite there yet. We've had toxic relationships that are more friendships. We have not had a toxic romantic relationship. But those are always like in the case of the villains. In the case of Discord taking advantage of Fluttershy back in Season 3. In the case of Cozy Glow. In the case of Tarek betraying Discord. Things like that. So we've had plenty of those. Say that again?
Suri Polymer and Coco Pomel. Again, not a romantic one, but that's definitely a toxic relationship.
Yeah, that's very good. I think the closest thing we had to toxic romantic relationships was, hard to say anything, with Featherbangs. Featherbangs just liked to hit on girls and didn't even really have any sort of reason to do it. He's just like, oh, she's pretty, I'll go flirt with her, with absolutely no plan in mind or no, actual deeper interest. So that could have, like, if it had turned into a relationship, that could have very easily become toxic, but it didn't.
Actually, speaking of potential toxic relationship there, Featherbangs and his 3 admirers, since at the end he was looking at a way to potentially talk to all 3 of them.
Yeah. So, real quick here, for those in case you don't already know, polyamory is not a healthy relationship dynamic. Just so y'all know, in case you didn't. So yeah, don't do that. How about now? Since we're not talking about romantic relationships at the moment, what about
Filthy Rich and Spoiled Milk?
Gosh, that certainly could be.
Especially between her daughter and her. I was thinking about that. Like, Spoiled Rich and her daughter was pretty toxic.
Yeah.
Not romantic, but that's like borderline.
Yeah, and I don't think she like abuses Filthy Rich or anything, but you saw in Where the Apple Lies how many times he had to tell her to, like, be nice and not talk down to people and things like that. So there's definitely potential there. I was going to bring up Grandpair and Pear Butter as something that's potentially toxic, but again, not relationship, more familial, which that type of thing does happen as well. So yeah, I guess watch out for the Rich family. Mm-hmm. Next question.
Just so you know, we passed the 15-minute mark when I started, but it is only like 4:56, so we can go longer. I'm trying to be lenient with you.
We're doing all right.
Quiet Storm asked, "Oh yeah, what do you think of Starlight and Sunburst? Also, LOL Starburst. They have a great ship name, even though I don't approve of them."
I'd be willing to see that ship. I would be willing to see that ship attempted. It could either very easily turn into something romantic, because they've been friends for a very long time and they're attached to each other that way. I did read a really good story that shipped Twilight and Sunburst, and it was called Sunburst to the Rescue by David Silver. So check that one as well. That one was a lot of fun. But yeah, so it could either, with Starlight, become romantic, or they would just realize that they're better off as friends. If this was like season 6 or season 7 Starlight, I'd still be worried about her temper, but as of like season 8 and onward, she seems to have that under control. What do you guys think?
I'm in favor of this one. It kind of fits that anime trope of the end aspect.
All right, anime tropes, I'm immediately against it. Never mind what I said earlier. I'm joking.
Well, it's not like she's a tsundere.
Yeah, I guess that's right. If she was a tsundere,
you could see season 6 as a yandere.
I suppose well, no, that was season 5. Season 5 was a yandere. Let's be real here. What do you think, Heather?
I kind of like that.
Any particular reason, or do we ask Heather why?
Well, there's the childhood, and just you can see, and admittedly this could just be friendship, but you can really see he cares about him and how jealous she got when he's spending time with everybody else, which again could just be friendship, but you can really see how much she kind of wanted him for herself.
Yeah, I can see that. Heather, what do you think?
like I said, I don't care for them. Maybe it's because I think the friends turned lovers thing is so overdone and boring. But I don't see them working together. Maybe because I find Starlight to be so abrasive. And Starburst, I don't know. I just don't feel the connection here.
All right.
Good candy.
Yeah, I do enjoy those, especially the hard candies. Do we have anything else?
Well, Badri Bali had a question, but you guys kind of already answered it. It was, are you guys confused about how a nice guy like Filthy Rich being married to an unlikable character like Spoiled Rich as a couple as I am?
That's actually where I got that from. I had mentioned it, but we were all kind of talking at the same time.
How dare you take my job from me? Do you know how much I get paid? Nothing. You take it.
I pay you in affection and occasionally pizza.
You would do that anyway. It doesn't count.
Yep. Alrighty then. So I think we're all set. I think we're all set. Do we have any closing thoughts, Pentatonic?
Not specifically on the romance aspect. Definitely appreciate you including me in this, though. I love any chance to chat about my thoughts on the show.
Well, I can't wait to have you back on anytime. Heather, any closing thoughts for us?
You know what they should do near the finale of season 9? They should make you and me canon, our relationship in the show. Yeah.
All right, I'll agree with it for now. I think
because canon has, bro.
I think Friendship is Magic is at its best when it stays Friendship is Magic. The less emphasis they put on the romantic aspects of things, I feel like the better they do. But I'm willing to, we still got about a quarter of a season to go. Let's see what else they do. I'm looking forward to all of that. Thank you all for coming out to yet another Brony Debates Live. We had a decent turnout this week. Hey, next time you come to participate in the chat, share it around. Let's try to get more viewers in here. I'm especially grateful to all of my Patreon supporters, especially those at the $10 and up tiers. These guys are Autoknight, Sodden Girder, Senko, Jennan Kellogg, Kyle Christensen, DJ Skywalker, the Equestrian City Heroverse series of fanfictions, and Mike's Geek World, or Pentatonic, as he was in here joining us tonight. If you want to make suggestions for Brony Debates, I would love that. You can, hit me up on email or Twitter or Tumblr and leave your suggestions there. I'll put them in a list. If you want to get on these podcasts, I would love to have you. You just need to be a member of the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. And with that, I am out of things to say. Thank you all once again for coming. If you want to see more of us live streaming, I'm going to be on air again next Friday for Friday Night Fights. And this Saturday, I'm going to be joining Heather on her live stream, Chaos and Crocheting. So be sure to check us out there. Say goodnight, everyone. All right. Resounding silence. I love it.
Are we clear?
I'll see you all later. Have a great night.